Hi and welcome to the new processing tool for the Mephisto range of 3D scanners brought to you by 4D Dynamics. I'm guessing pretty much all of you are using some other software to align and merge your data from the Mephisto range of scanners. And I know this can be pretty frustrating, especially if you're trying to produce color models, and hopefully this bit of software will fix that issue. The guys at 4D Dynamics have been working incredibly hard to produce this bespoke and exclusive piece of software just for you, and because of that they've been able to tailor the software to use all the information the scanner is gathering positionally about your models to create the best aligned and processed data possible. And I'm going to basically take you through the demo information provided by 4D Dynamics. When you start your own software, it will look just like this here. You'll be offered the chance to have a play with the demo data, and I would say go ahead and do that. And at the very end of this, I will explain how to import your own data, and from the information I'm going to give you during the demo, you'll be able to then process your own data pretty easily. Okay, so we'll start with the Triceratops. Okay, so we have three sets of data for this Triceratops, each one with its own tab, and you can click on each tab to view each data set. All the data captured was done using a Mephisto scanner with a turntable calibration. So each data set has the full set from that rotation. In this case, it was done every 30 degrees, so each data set has 12 models. And the first data set is what I like to call a primary data set, and this is the one we're going to align to. It's important that you import from your own scans the set of data with the most information in it. You'll find that when you're doing a turntable scan, the first set of information probably will have 80% of the model's data, and the next sets of rotations will be trying to capture the rest of the 20% left over, and that can take 2, 3 or 4 rotations just to get all that information. Sometimes even individual scans, just to patch areas which you couldn't get with rotations. So to the left here, each dataset has a tab, and in that tab are each individual mesh. And you can click using a double left click here, and you can view just that particular scan. And you can add to it by again double clicking, and as you can see, it builds up slowly the sets of scan data. And you can double click on each model again to remove them, and if you unremove all of them, then the full data set reappears. So we have the three tabs, and each tab, like I mentioned, has got its own set within it. At the top here, just to go through these, the buttons are pretty self-explanatory, but we have new workspace, load workspace, save workspace. We'll go through some of those later on. We've got the import scans and the export of the data at the end. We have an undo and a redo, refine alignment, surface reconstruction, and some settings, and currently a help with no help, but that will be coming very shortly. To the right here we have some information, basically how to navigate. So right click rotates the model, right click and control pans the model, and right click and shift zooms the model. Below that we have some information about how to go about selecting the model, which we'll come back to in a moment, and then we have some shortcuts for color and how we render out the model. So for instance, if I press N, we can see the normals, which is what we're going to use when we come to trimming this mesh. Okay, so we need to trim the mesh, and we do that very simply by rotating it into the right position pretty much, best position we can find, something along these lines. And we are going to go back here so you can see what's going on. A left click creates a point, and we then just go around the bits we want to trim, clicking points as we go. And then if we want, we can freehand by holding down the left button and just moving around to go freehand, and then double click at the end, and that selects some parts. If we Control I, we can invert that selection, the red showing the data that we were going to get rid of and the blue showing the data we're going to keep, and we can go back and press the delete key. Okay, so we need to do that for all our meshes. So if I then go to the second set of data, again, align it slightly better than last time, just do a very straightforward line again, and delete, and do the same for our final mesh or set of meshes. Now you could do this on each individual mesh, but it really isn't worth it. We've got lots of overlap, so press delete. So all our meshes now have been trimmed and they're ready to be aligned. Okay, so like I mentioned, we have our primary set of data, and pay attention down here to the left. When we click on our second set of data, you can see this little icon appears, and that is our alignment icon. And I just click on that, and to the left here we have our primary data, and to the right we have our secondary set, and we need to align to this. So it's a standard pick point alignment, so 3 points or more in a triangle where possible. So I'm going to choose the eye and the foot and this bit of leg here, and do the same again, eye, foot, and this bit of leg, and then click OK, and you can see it's imported the data. So what's actually happened is we now only have two sets of data. The primary set now holds 24 meshes, as it's combined the other set that we just aligned. And you can see just here, let's just zoom in on this for you, the tail isn't particularly well aligned, and neither are the horns. What you can do is click on this Refine Alignment button, and this probably would have taken a little bit of time in the other software, but in this particular software it's super quick. So it's now fine aligned, so those 24 scans are fine aligned, and we then go to the next set of data and do the same thing. We'll rotate this one around, and we'll pretty much do the same thing with this side. As you're ticking the points, it shows you which points you've created, and they don't have to be perfect. And then click OK. And again, not perfectly aligned, click the Refine Alignment, and we are nicely aligned. And let's just pan this slightly, and if I show you the colour. Okay, so here's our Triceratops aligned, all the bits we need. The next stage is to reconstruct this model, but before we do that, I would advise that you save your model or the workspace so far, and you can import that obviously using the load workspace later on if anything goes wrong when reconstructing, which it shouldn't. The reconstruct button is here, surface reconstruction. Before we do that, there are some settings that you can play with. We're going to be giving you more details about these a little later, but for the time being you can have a play with these. There's a restore to default if you can't seem to get it working again. If you're not going to be processing a color model, untick the color processing section. This will speed things up a great deal. the sampling ratio resolution will, if you lower this, speed the process up. And the same goes for sampling resolution here. If you lower this, it will speed the process up. But in both cases, you will lose a bit of detail. But it all depends on what you're aiming for, what your outcome is, basically. In this case, we're going to leave these settings as they are, and we would then press the surface reconstruction button. In this case, I'm not going to do it because it can take a little while, but it's well worth the wait. The data you will get will be really, really good. Here is a model we did a little earlier. So this is a full watertight model, full color. It's about 24 million points, or faces, sorry. And we can export this model out using the export composed model. And we can do so as a PLY with vertex normals, vertex color, and triangles, or we can save an OBJ and generate a texture map up to 8K basically, which is really cool. So that is pretty much how we go about processing some data. It's really straightforward, it's really quick and simple. What I'm going to show you now is how to import your own data. So if we click up here and go New Workspace, we can click Import Mephisto Scans. And what you want to do is have the MPL file. It's very important that you save out your project file in the Mephisto scanning software and create an MPL, and that you keep the data sets organized with that MPL. In this case, we know that these three sets relate to this MPL, so we're going to go Open, and that will then direct us to the folder which has actually got the data in, and this is S1 here. And I'm going to select all these models here. Because these were done with a turntable calibration, I can import them as a single group, so I can leave this ticked down here. If, however, these were done without a turntable calibration, I would untick this, and it would import each of these scans into its own tab for pick point alignment. In this case, they are all pre-aligned as they are, so we can just go Open. It imports these here down the side. We don't have a tab because we've only got one set of data. And then we can import the next set. And again, we need to import that MPL. So there it is. Open, and then open the second set. Again, these are turntabled, so we can leave this and go Open. And here we have our second tab and our little button down here to do our pick point, and we can trim the data. So yeah, that is the Mephisto software. I hope you enjoy using it. It's a really fast tool. Be patient when you're actually when you hit the process button, because it can take a little while, like I mentioned, the reconstruction tool. Enjoy using it. Please do send us any data you produce from the software if you can. It'd be really great to see some results, and give us as much feedback as you can, because it will help us improve the software and make it more user-friendly, add more features. Yeah, great. Well, enjoy using it, like I said, and hopefully see some of your work soon. Cheers.